On July 19th, Judge, Ohtani, Machado, and the game's biggest stars are coming to the City of Stars for the Midsummer Classic. It's the 2022 All-Star Game from Dodger Stadium, July 19th on Fox.
And we imagine they'll have warm weather. It's going to be a hot one this weekend. So the Dodgers are an interesting team because we've seen them play the Padres. We saw them play the Mets. And I'm going to bring in the best baseball reporter in my lifetime. Four-time Emmy Award winner Tom Verducci, a humble guy who's probably blushing as I say that, Fox Sports. All right, there's a lot of different things I want to touch on here. So a couple of weeks ago, the Mets played the Dodgers. It was a really good series. And if I recall, the Dodgers won the first couple of games of the series, and then the Mets came roaring back. The Mets don't have Scherzer. They don't have DeGrom. But as I watched the Mets, I was like, this is an interesting team. They've got power. They've got a little speed. They don't even have their aces. And I walked out of that series, and I'm thinking, are they better than the Dodgers? What is your take on the Mets? Do they match up with the Yankees, the Braves, the Dodgers, the Astros? It's real top-heavy right now. What do you make of the Mets story?
Well, they're in that group for sure, Colin. And if you give them a healthy DeGrom and Scherzer, they're a nightmare postseason matchup. What I like about this team, besides the top-end talent that they have, it's a great collection of players. Like Steve Cohen spent a lot of money quickly out of the lockout to put this team together, right? But it wasn't like going clothes shopping and buying off the rack. He went bespoke, right? He got the exact right guys to fit this team. I'm talking guys like Escobar and Canna, guys who really are gritty players who maybe are not household names or stars, and even Chris Bassett in the rotation, but the kind of players that complete a winning team. And I'll tell you, I saw this team win some games early, coming back late. To me, there's nothing that binds a team like comeback wins early in the season. And the Mets have that kind of grittiness to them where they're never out of a game. I see them cut down on their swing when they need to start an inning in a one-run game rather than swinging for the fence. They'll all do that. And listen, they put the team in the hands of a veteran, proven manager in Buck Showalter, right? They had talent before, but they tried rookie managers. That didn't work. Kind of like the Padres with Bob Melvin. They got the right pilot steering the ship now.
Now, the Yankees are not as complicated. Power and aces. They throw the ball past you and they hit it over you. Aaron Judge is remarkable. He's having a great year. Just the aesthetic is when I watch, and I say this, I dabble. I get an inning here. I got the MLB network. I watch bits and pieces of it. But the Yankees look like what you would build a baseball team to be with analytics if you had a big bank. To me, they look like the class of the sport, are they?
They are. I mean, look at the numbers. I think the game pivots now on home runs more than ever before. And the Yankees, by far, hit the most home runs and give up the fewest. That differential is enormous. Yeah. And you mentioned Judge having an enormous year, right? In a walk year for him. It's interesting, though. I did the game last night, Yankees-Red Sox. Judge, they gave him the day off because his legs, they said, were just a little tired and sore. They're asking a lot of a guy who's 6'7" and 282 pounds to be playing center field as much as he has. Now, he's played great in center field. And this was just more along the lines of, hey, we've got a big lead. We don't need to push this guy. But it is remarkable what he is doing at his size, playing a really good center field and getting to the break with at least 30 home runs. It's an amazing season. He's not the only story. I think the secret sauce of this team is their defense, Colin. You talk about their pitching and their swing and miss stuff. Their bullpen is lights out. You put the ball on the ground against this team, you're out. The defense of the Yankees went from one of the two worst in baseball last year to one of the best this year. So now I think they're a much better postseason team than they've been the last few years.
So the Dodgers right now lead the National League with 53 wins. But when they've played good teams, I don't know if the word is vulnerable. Mookie is Mookie. I watched him last night do what he does. Where's the vulnerability with the Dodgers that you see?
Well, listen, they have the best pitching staff in baseball, which is crazy because with injuries to Buehler and a lot of other guys, they're not nearly at full strength, but they have the best ERA, the best strikeout to walk rate. Tony Gonsolin and Tyler Anderson, you're like, where were they when the season started? Right. And now they're 20-1 combined. Are you kidding me? Is that going to hold up in the second half of the season? Listen, they're legit. They're good pitchers, but that's just a ridiculous pace. I don't know that they can keep that up. But you're right. The one measurement you take in the Dodgers, I think, in the second half is how they play against the other elite teams in this division, especially Padres, Giants. I think they're good enough. I think they're talented enough. I think they win the division again. My preseason pick for the NLCS was Dodgers Mets. I don't see any reason to get off that, Colin.
So we got a trading deadline coming up here. There's certain teams like the Yankees who don't have needs. Dodgers probably fall into that. Give me a good team that has a need for like an Atlanta or a Milwaukee's not in that upper crust, but they're not a mile back. Would Milwaukee be a player? Who would be on the market? Could we have a big move?
I don't think we'll see a Scherzer Trey Turner move like we saw last year, but yeah, you'll see big moves because, that's just what trade deadline has become. Look at Atlanta last year. They completely remade their outfield and won the World Series because of it. So who makes that move? I look at the Boston Red Sox and they say they need another bat. Their production at first base and right field, get this, it's the worst in franchise history. They're essentially punting offense at two positions. And that right now they're in playoff position. I think they need another bat. There's some talk around the Yankees that with Joey Gallo in the lineup, too much swing and miss in his game. Maybe they want a more contact-oriented player in that spot at the bottom of the lineup. Brian Reynolds, the outfielder from Pittsburgh, I think will be on the market and be really in demand because he solves a lot of issues for a lot of teams, whether it's Boston or New York.
Yeah, you'll probably, could you have a busy trade deadline because the bottom of the sport, there's about 10 teams right now that can't compete. And when you get a gap, when you have great teams that know they're going to play great teams in 3 months, 4 months, and you have bad teams, that's when you have an active trade deadline. And we have 10 teams, I checked this morning, 10 to 11 teams that feel like they have no shot. So to me, it feels like, if I'm one of these rebuilding teams, give me draft picks. I'll give you my best player. So you think it's going to be a fairly frenetic trade deadline?
I do. And again, I don't think it's going to be blockbuster deals, Colin, but I think you'll see a lot of finishing pieces moved. If you're looking for a starting pitcher, that market is pretty thin. You've got Luis Castillo from the Reds, maybe Noah Syndergaard from the Angels that will be out there. Frankie Montas is to me, the best available pitcher. He's had a little bit of a shoulder issue. I think he's going to be okay. But generally, you want to trade for a starting pitcher. He's going to take the ball in the first 3 games of a postseason series. You're not going to trade really for a back-end rotation guy. Those are really the guys and the only guys that stand out for me that can do that. So if you want a starting pitcher, the depth there is pretty thin. You better move quickly.
It's the All-Stars are revealed tonight, and we know that Aaron Judge and Ronald Acuna Jr. have already locked in their spots, leading their votes in their respective leagues after phase 1 of the voting. I was watching Mike Trout. Was it last night or the night before? And we were talking about the Angels. Well, they had these 2 great players, Ohtani and Mike Trout. And, it's a bummer. I tend to root for great players. Like when Matt Stafford went to the Lions to the Rams, not just because I live in Los Angeles. I think great players, I like to see them in great spaces. I think it's better for sports. And I look at Mike Trout and I think to myself, the Angels are they're just spinning their wheels here. Is Trout going to end his career with them? I mean, I know he's an East Coast guy, and I watch him and I think, he is just too gifted to not be in the postseason. What do you make of his career and how the ascension of it and where it's at?
Yeah, it's one of the biggest shames, if you will, of the last 10 years that Trout has never played at a winning playoff game. It's crazy to think that. It's been a long time since he's even been in.
Yeah.
And really to be a true national star in this sport, Colin, you need to get to a World Series.
Sure.
Not just even in the postseason. You need that exposure where baseball is so strong regionally during the season. Postseason is where you really shine nationally. So, yeah, I just think this about Mike Trout. He's extremely loyal to the Angels. Remember, he sat around on draft day. I think it was the 25th pick by the time he got taken. It was the Angels who took him. He's always been a loyal guy to the Angels, right? He signed an extension before where he could have gotten on the market and probably got a much bigger number than he did. I don't see Mike at this point. Maybe it changes, but at this point, I don't think he's to the point of frustration where he's looking to play somewhere else.
Yeah. All right, Tom Verducci, All-Star starters revealed tonight. It is great seeing you. You look like you're in a hotel room on the East Coast. Where are you?
I'm actually home.
Okay.
I just got in from Boston, the game last night. Watched Garrett Cole get taken deep twice by Rafael Devers. By the way, those all-star votes, third base is fascinating. You got Devers and Jose Ramirez in the American League. In the National League, you've got Machado and Arenado. Both are really close votes.
Hey, by the way,
my book, I've got Rafael Devers in the AL and Machado in the NL. Very close, though.
Yeah, I saw Machado play the other night. So you're not in a hotel room because now I'm an idiot. I can see all those baseballs behind you. So tell me, Tom Verducci, go look at that jar of baseballs behind you. Those are signed, right? Those are signed baseballs, right?
No, only a couple of those are signed.
Who's the most famous signature in that group? Who's this?
Yogi Berra.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
That beats mine. All right. Good that you're home. All-star stuff tonight. Good seeing you, Tom.
Always a pleasure, Colin. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, he and Peter Gammons are about as good as the sport has ever had. Fascinating, great writers, fascinating stuff. 4-time Emmy Award winner. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.